I guess Alan's got to change my name again from owner. I don't know why it calls me owner. Am I the only person in this? Thank you, whoever did that.
Hi, Commissioner. Can you hear me?
I can. Am I the only
All
one that's
right.
going to be part of this?
Awesome. I hope not, but we still have 1 minute. So,
Okay. No.
While he's on, let's test your PowerPoint real quick.
all right, I'm going to test my power.
Robbie, if you do me a favor and just see if you'll, when I share the screen, you're going to send, hey, IT can,
Okay, Granger's on. Um, I can't see. I mean,
okay,
all I
hang
see
on.
is city IT. I don't see anything else. Oh,
Perfect.
hold
Now,
on.
can you
Yep,
see
there
my
we go.
screen now?
Yep,
Perfect.
sharing your screen. It says join meeting,
Okay, great.
and it says Panama City. Yep, I see. I
All right.
see.
I'm going to make sure can you see, do you see presenter mode where there's two little PowerPoints, or do you see a big green screen with the
The
PowerPoint on it?
first time I saw the big green screen, now I see both. Now I see presenter mode. The first one was just
Okay.
the front screen. Yeah,
How about that?
that's the one. That's yeah.
Beautiful. So you can start here
Yes.
and they can still see y'all. And then when you're done, you can just hit stop share and we'll go back to that view for everybody.
All
Okay.
right. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the CRA Virtual Workshop for today, March 18th. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if we should wait a few minutes, see if the mayor. Um,
We haven't heard, we didn't get
mm-mm,
feedback.
mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm. Let's just give it just a few minutes. Let's and see if any other board members join us.
Okay.
Oh, there's Alan. Okay.
Well, we know that Janice and we think Josh is still out of town. He was out of town earlier this week, and Janice still is. So,
Yep. All right. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is the CRA virtual for the month of March. And we wanted to just give a brief overview of the feedback that we've received so far for the annual social that was held last month on February 19th. So far, we've gotten some feedback, but we're still collecting surveys through the end of this week. So please share that with, your constituents and anybody that is in the CRA districts. It's on our website, on social. We can send it out individually if you need it. Just let us know. But so far, we've had a few surveys collected, about 13. And as you see, we've received none for downtown North. So we wanted to go over just some of the feedback we've received from the social and from the surveys. Mostly in these 4 areas of streets and infrastructure improvements, which is road resurfacing, stormwater upgrades, curbs and drainage, sidewalks, and fixing the deteriorating streets. Lighting and safety improvements, which include additional street lighting, decorative lamp posts, lighting near pedestrian crossings, and park lighting. Parks and public space improvements, amphitheater development, waterfront amenities, and marina improvements, and expanding the skate park and streetscape beautification. So flowering trees and landscaping, public art installation, and district specific and wayfinding signage. So that's based on the 13 surveys we've received. That's the feedback we've gotten so far. Are there any questions about the social or surveys or anything that we can answer for the board?
The surveys are anemic. We need more of those. And I think we ought to set a goal for each ward to try to hit before we do anything. This is not a survey of the citizenship with 11 or however many. Not
Right.
that's a citizen not participating. I get that. However, I think if I knew I had a goal that say 20 per, I need 20 surveys. Right now, I need to get 16 more. I'm gonna go out and hump the streets, and I think hey, go do this and answer it. So, what do y'all feel about trying to set something there that allows us to go out and earn some of our like I say, earn our paycheck.
Absolutely. And we'll be happy. We can send this link and we can hard copy as well to the board, and you guys can hit the streets. I mean, we can extend the time period. We had just set through March 20th, but we can surely extend the time period in hopes to get more feedback. And this is all, helping us create our fiscal year 27 budget. So we still have a little time. But we can absolutely do that. We'll share it with the board.
Hello.
Board Member Granger. Oh, hi, Mayor.
Yeah, I had my hand up. I want to piggyback off of what Robbie said. So I think I'd love to please send us the link so that we can pass it manually to people via email. But I also think we should have printed flyers that give each commissioner and including me, each of us 50 and say, go literally hand this to people. Easily are the districts like downtown, which is just go up Harrison Avenue. I mean, Robbie just put them on doors for people. Give the DIB a stack to distribute. Josh can easily walk down, Beck Avenue and hand them out to merchants like one at a time. Give some to the Waterfront Partnership to distribute as well. So and I agree with Robbie, like you can activate your commissioners to tell us to go engage people. I think this is a great time to do that, my personal opinion.
Yep. Yep.
And then I think that's one approach to getting data, but people don't know we don't know. Meaning that our citizens don't know what the possibilities of our CRA actually even are. In our comp plans in the past 20 years for the CRAs, there are multiple different loan types that the CRA has been told that they can give, gap loans and bridge loans, but also just loans. CRAs have patterns of success where they have borrowing pools. They'll sit second on a loan. They'll let you borrow cash at lower or no interest to get the projects that they want. They don't give the money just to everybody. They define what a project is that they want, borrow the money, and then let people borrow into it that are doing projects that align with their comp plans. And so, beyond building parking garages, I mean, South Gain Street in Tallahassee is a great example of the CRA borrowing money to build a parking garage. But the CRA can also be a borrowing pool. So I'd love to see not just ideas from our citizens, but research from our team of ideas from other places that are unique that our citizens don't even know about. But I think having a pool of money that we let developers borrow into to get projects done is another version. And whether they're, maybe that they borrow into that pool, they can't get the TIF grant or things like that. But, these are all mostly public facing projects, but we can be incentivizing developers too.
Okay. We could put together a fact sheet with ideas to go along with the flyer to help them, think through some feedback that they could give us. Can absolutely do that. I think we already have
Well, and
most of
beyond,
it.
us, the even the concept of the TIF credit was really an idea that I had as a citizen of because we kept running this problem of the organization would do things and then not have money. And so, our Jan has an email that she circulated months ago about how much each district can borrow. And
Mm-hmm.
you can create a low interest borrowing pool that doesn't unfund the program, that actually creates more tax dollars. It actually, and that is all these curbs and sidewalks are all at a guess at an attempt at an indirect action in the hopes that someone else does something to raise the tax base, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to put lights in, we're going to put a sidewalk in, but gosh darn it, I hope a private citizen comes in and invests money and raises our tax base. But we can directly affect the tax base ourselves through a loan program, and immediately and directly affect the tax base, which is the goal instead of indirectly.
Okay. We can research that.
Yes, we'll get you a report.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, so moving on to World Changers. So you may have seen this on the news this morning, but World Changers has been in action this week. I think today was their last day for spring break. We had a group come in and work on some houses over in the Glenwood area. They will be back in July, the week of July 4th.
July 6th.
July 6th. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Robbie. Commissioner Hughes, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Um, so to Alan's point, and maybe this is a question that I would ask at Tuesday's meeting rather than here, but the idea of the loan from the CRA, couldn't we do that with, couldn't that be done with the Boys and Girls Club instead of a money given as a grant or just given? If we went and got it, or if we had it and they borrow it from us at a low interest payback, is that, or are you talking about bonding money and borrowing at a lower interest rate? And then I'm a business and I want to borrow from that. I don't understand really.
Yeah, you touched on the thousand ways to skin a cat, right? It's like we could open up a couple hundred thousand, a lot of projects, if you're talking about $500,000, 30 grand makes or breaks it, right? So you could open up a cash pool that we already have and say, oh, we got $500,000 and we're willing to lend this money at whatever interest rate it is. We're willing to provide a gap loan or a bridge loan, or sit second on a loan. Um, there's 1,000 ways to do it. You could go borrow the money for 3% and lend it for 4%. You can borrow the money for 3% and lend it for 0%. And it is an endless amount of ways to do it. I've seen Ocala has an interesting district where they incentivized apartments, but the apartments have a certain set aside amount for artists in residency because they're an art district. So they're like, cool, we know that artists coming into town are going to be paying very little money. We're going to be picking these artists. And so we want you to hold back 2 apartments because the CRA is basically going to be paying their rent to bring artists in.
Wow.
And so, yeah, there's just CRAs can do so many things. It's really Ocala is a great example. South Gain Street in Tallahassee is a great example. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in CRAs, and we have a very limited time to do some stuff before it goes away.
Okay. Okay.
We can definitely do some research and bring it back to the board to consider, what some
Thank you.
programs might look like for us if that's what y'all are interested in.
I'm looking for big and well, I don't want to lose sight of little things, but I'm looking for meaningful changes that don't get erased after 10 years. Sidewalks, good. Those are good. I don't want something that fades. I want something that's meaningful, that creates a ripple effect of investments, momentum in districts.
All right, we can do that.
How long do they want to extend the surveys?
Yeah, we can. What do you think? Extending the surveys another month or through the month of April?
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay, we'll extend it through April.
Yeah, and I have not been actively spreading this around either, so I'm partially
Well,
willing.
it's kind of sad to say I'm me either. And you give me a target number and I'm gonna go hit it. So,
Yeah.
do we want to dream that up today? I think it's practical and prudent that we get as many from each of the CRAs as possible, but a minimum number that really would give us some real data. If 20 come from from Brian and 10 from me and 40 from Janice and 0 from we don't have real data.
Yeah,
And we
it's
do
called
it
too
all
small
at the
of a
same
data set.
time. Now we're getting it all from at the same time period, and I think a good data point. So I
Let's try to
like
get
that.
50 per
I'll go
district.
around and pass out flyers with you, Mayor.
Yeah, let's get out and get 50 per district. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we did have more participation last year, it seems like.
We did, but it was the same people.
Yeah, it was a lot of the same people that came to the socials and that filled out the surveys, but it seemed like there were a little more last year. All right, so moving on to the World Changers program, which like I said, they've been here this week, worked in the Glenwood area, and they'll be back the week of July 6th. A much bigger group will be here for a whole week, doing improvements in the Millville and downtown North CRA districts. So that's exciting, and we're still taking applications
We just started.
for residents to apply that are in the downtown North and Millville district. So that's what that QR code is for. We can also give you some flyers for that as well. Any questions on World Changers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so does the homeowner, do they have to, is it like Habitat for Humanity? They have to participate so many hours, or is it here's my issue, and they just, it's kind of like drop in one day, bam, it's fixed, and then move on. And is it only to really the downtown North and Millville area? And how far east could it come? I was asked that question last week, and it kind of didn't resonate with me until right now.
Okay, I'm going to let Lena explain the program requirements. For right now, it is only in the downtown North and Millville districts that we have partnered with them on, and we try to concentrate and, we get applications and we try to concentrate in an area to make it easier for mobilization, for getting the kids all to the, blocks so that they can accomplish several houses in a block. But for the requirements, Lena, can you explain, what the homeowner is responsible for and what
The homeowner is actually not responsible for anything. World Changers provides the labor, we provide the materials, the homeowner doesn't have to do anything. The homeowner, it's a very simple application. We have already sat with World Changers, we predetermined a boundary area, and that was in the MOU that you guys have already approved. So there's always an approved boundary area that we set ahead of time before we start the application process. That is what Brandy is saying that we do so that we can kind of keep the kids in a certain area. It's easier for the World Changers staff to be able to mobilize the kids that way. If we have a bunch of houses that are closer together, they're able to, if there's smaller projects on one, when they finish up, they can just, take them over a couple of blocks and they can jump onto a larger project. It just gets a lot more accomplished rather than having them spread out over large areas. So that it's just worked more efficiently that way. This is our 10th year partnering with them. We've learned a lot over that 10 years on what's more efficient and what we can get more done that way. And we've kind of been moving that boundary around. So we're now focused, we're coming in downtown north from just behind the MLK Rec Center, and working our way down towards Bay Medical Center, in that area for downtown north. And then we've heard, we had an overwhelming response last year to please work in the Millville area on the north side of 98. So that's going to be that's the boundary for Millville area. Everybody was out this week for spring break, so we weren't able to do the canvassing this week, which was what we wanted to do. So we will be organizing that again. We've done that the last 2 years. Commissioner Lucas has gone with us. She enjoys doing that with us, where we've gone out handing out flyers door to door. The World Changers volunteers, we're lucky enough that World Changers, the organization, is based right here in Bay County. Their offices are here in Lynn Haven. So David Flatt and his team, he'll get volunteers together and they'll go out in the evenings and go door to door with flyers to get people to apply. So we have a little bit more of an advantage with World Changers than other groups do, because they are a national organization. They do missions trips all over the US. But because they're here, we get a little bit more of an advantage with that. And that is why they chose us to do their first ever spring break work group.
And how
Okay.
many will
And Lena,
come?
you touched on something, and I think Helen's worked on this from the Millville Bridge to East Avenue, or to Everett Avenue.
Everett, yeah.
The north side is not in a CRA of either Millville, downtown north, or downtown.
Part of it is.
Well,
Up to Seventh Street is.
up to 7. Well, coming down though, coming down to 6th Street, the north side of 6th Street's not. Right?
Right. Well, yeah,
How
it
about
goes
where
up
Get Your
from,
Box is? Is that in the CRA?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, because that Weddington Park, we redid all of that.
Right. That's where I
yeah.
thought it ended.
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
No, sir.
Well, that's a problem in there because here's the way I'm wondering if we can do this. Can we beautify that by picking this? And I think it's that side of the road that doesn't have the power lines. Hey, it's that power line thing that Nevin and I were talking about.
Underground.
And we can take trees and put those in the right of way, just nice oak trees. You can beautify that drive, that corridor, just on that one side, because it won't interfere with the power lines at a later date. Something easier, but obviously we can't come in and do anything with the road, the sidewalks, all that. It's not, we can't touch that. So I was just trying to think of that, and I was under the impression for some reason that it stopped right there, and from there to over to on the north side, we couldn't get that done. If so, hey, can we? No, I don't know what it costs to put some trees out there, but there's something we can maybe look into on a beautification thing. And that's not anything that we're talking about, except Lena brought up the north side, and that's what triggered my that thought.
Yeah. A portion of the north side is in the CRA district, but it doesn't go all the way up to 11th Street, which is what a lot of people that's what the desire is from the community. But it does go up to 7th Street on the
Okay.
north side.
Okay.
But Lena, how many volunteers will come?
Typically in the summer month, in July, which they've always come in July. But typically we have somewhere around anywhere from 40 to 60 volunteers usually that come in the summer. And sometimes we've had even more.
All right.
We had 18 end up coming for the spring break week for this week, and it was only they ended up only working like 3 days, excuse me, for this week. Like I said, this was the first time ever that they've done a spring break. And it was kind of for our 10 years of partnering together. I think for their longest running partner. And just to try it out, and they got the one house done. They got a lot done in 3 days. If you didn't catch it, look up WJHG did an interview with the homeowner yesterday. She's very excited and very thankful for the help that was given to her for the house. She still had hurricane damage to her house, so they were able to give her fence back and do some exterior work to her house. All of it is exterior work. It's non-permitted work because these are they're kids, they're middle school, high school kids that are volunteering their time off to come down here and work instead of going and having fun.
When is it that you go around and pass out the flyers?
I'm gonna work on a time for us to do that. Like I said, I wanted to do it this week when the volunteers were here, but everybody was out of town this week, so I just didn't have anybody to do it with. It'll probably be in the next few weeks before it gets way too hot for us to get out there and do that. Problem is usually we do it during the day. And there's not a lot of people there when we go door to door, but we do leave the flyers like just stuck in the door. And I've gotten a lot of response that way. We've had a lot of people responding just by putting those flyers in the door and getting the applications that way.
So during the day can also mean from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, since we have the sun that shows up and goes until then, and
Right.
then we probably would interact with more people.
We have had that. Like I said, that's when David and his volunteers have done that. They've gone back after 5 o'clock and done some more canvassing, and they've had about the same response. He said they really didn't have a lot more people come to the door, but they did have some.
It's amazing what people won't do with Ring cameras now. I can promise you how many
I
people
know. It's true.
Yes. Have a little experience and knocking on those doors, don't we, fellas? So yeah, them not showing up. So
Yep.
all right, well, I'd like to participate in that if you'll just let me know.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments about World Changers? Okay. If not, we were just going to give a few updates, other updates for the CRA that we have upcoming in our April board meeting that we could discuss. One is the Glenwood Town Center in our agreement with Sankofa Group and Pedro Gasant. He has requested an extension to his due diligence period that was set to end February 15th. So he's requesting an 5-month extension on the due diligence period, and that will be coming before you at the April board meeting. The challenge with the project is really stormwater. He's been working with his engineers and the FDOT stormwater requirements along MLK. So we're working with him, and he's requested that extension, and we're looking to the board to grant that on April 7th. It'll be coming.
Is he going to be at the board meeting? Because I'd like to ask some questions of him. Guys, remember if y'all remember when we went through this, he was unwilling to give us any progress report. He was unwilling to put any money up. We gave him 18 months, and there was no progress report, and there was no beacons for him to meet. And so right now we're about to give more, and he's asking us to give more time, and there's nothing that he's doing for the citizens other than tying that piece of property up, with the caveat that we will buy it back from him at some CPI number. So this is our chance to kind of get right with this site, because that's a doable development site. But right now he's in charge of our property and we're not. And I would like for him to be there so we can question what he can do to help us if we're going to help him. I think that's only fair.
We could Commissioner, yes, we can communicate that to him. I'm sure he could, Zoom in, hopefully. But the one goal is to get the property developed. And so the question is, um, what can he do in the next 5 months that he hadn't been able to do right
Right.
now? And the answer, I think, will be he's been working with DOT. They've got the stormwater issue. Anchor Engineering has been involved. They've come up with a couple of different solutions. Whether it's 5 months, 3 months, but obviously, they're making requests. And because staff indicated, well, or do you want to continue trying to make this work? And he indicated that they were willing to try to make it work rather than just drop out. The property hasn't been sold. We're in the due diligence period, so he can drop out or he can ask for a request to extend, knowing that it ties up the property. I realize that.
Yeah.
So
And
we can
maybe
communicate.
also his representative from engineering company can be present
Correct.
and talk to us
Correct.
about a couple of the options that they presented to the DOT.
Because in all probability, whatever his issues are going to be the same issues that the next developer will have. So that's really the goal, is to solve it, hopefully for him, but if not for him, the next one. So
Well, my
Yeah.
experience, and people are asking for due diligence extensions. It's not an unsolvable issue. It's a money issue that has now been created because of something you've learned in due diligence. And that's not a good or bad thing. That's just a thing. And
Right.
if we're going to talk about trying to extend this, but he's trying to figure out how he's going to pay for it, and that we need to have that discussion now, because that's a really, really valuable piece of property. And we need to have a plan for it, not a what if these things continue, all these things fall into place. And I think that's a real discussion that needs to happen at this point.
but you are correct, Commissioner. It is a money issue, and the money issue is: do you do underground storage underneath the parking lot for your stormwater? Is there any way to partner with DOT when they're doing the improvements to the road? Is that possible? All those things are being looked at. So, but yes, I think that's why
Give you
it's
an
on the
example of
agenda.
underground stormwater. Chick-fil-A on 77 and Chick-fil-A on 23rd Street. Same buildings. Chick-fil-A at the end of 23rd Street was $1 million extra because their stormwater is underground. Okay. It's expensive to put it under the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it also saves a lot of space. Okay. It's
Right.
very
Right.
efficient, but it's expensive. So yes, sir, I understand that. And again, thanks for confirming my comment about why they typically are
Yeah.
extended. But that's not, again, I want to hammer on him, and I applaud the guy for wanting to continue. But we can't just continue because we need to. We have to have specific reasons and targets. And what is it going to do for the owner of the property? And that's we have to consider ourselves as well.
Good. And that's why it's on the agenda. So and this is helpful to make sure that good information is presented.
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
and we'll see, Pedro can join us and participate, and if not, at least his engineers be there
Mhm.
for the board meeting. Also wanted to give an update on 704 East 15th Street, so across from the Glenwood Town Center, that parcel, we have done the phase one assessment on the environmental, and gotten some feedback from the state on that. We are looking to move forward with the purchase at 175. And so it's coming to the city commission next Tuesday for you to consider. And then it would also come to the CRA on April 7th, because the Downtown North CRA we would use their funds to purchase this parcel. And explain the state. It's in the state.
What's the phase one? What's the phase one say? Is it dirty?
Yeah, there was contamination. It used to be a gas station.
Yes, ma'am. My entire life.
But it was a part of a cleanup a cleanup program from FDEP. It was accepted into that program back in 1984. It is still a part of that program, so any cleanup that is necessary is still under that program. So anything that needs to be done is paid for by the state still. It's still under a monitoring. So there are wells that they come and monitor periodically. We've already been in touch with them. Joy and I had a call with the site managers. And they said that they're absolutely will not stand in the way of any kind of development. They just have to know what we're going to be developing beforehand. So it just kind of, we can develop anything. It just is helpful for them to know ahead of time so that they don't have to come in and tear anything up. So if we're
Okay.
going to put a parking lot there, if they know ahead of time and we can coordinate those efforts, they can tell us, well, we need to put a well, where they need to put the wells, and where they need to access them so that we can strategically plan where to put,
Right. So
our.
Nevin and Brandy, I think we all, and maybe Lena too, were y'all around when the DEP cleaned up the Harbisons, the old domestic cleaners?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That was the number one dirtiest laundry site in the state of Florida. Okay. It went from number 164 to number one. Okay. And it was a program that the DEP paid for, but the seller had to have a portion of money involved in that. And actually, the CRA lent the money to the owner that had to be paid back when I sold it to Harbison. But here's the deal. You're exactly right, Lena. They have the test wells out there, but they came and did it on their own dime. So you're saying here the DEP did. You're saying here that we have to pay for that and then they will reimburse us? Or is it in the same program like that site was that allows for that? And for example, to your test well thing, for 10 years, the DEP will monitor Fourth and Grace and anything to be built on it. We just need to give them a site plan and they will move the test wells accordingly. Okay.
Yes.
You get free access to them forever and ever. They will not charge you for all the testing and all the monitoring. If you do not, they will charge you for it. So we want to make sure that all of what we did at Fourth and Grace, because it went off without a hitch,
Right.
other than the four building behind the slab fell off the foundation. That's another problem, but that's not ours. That is what we need to follow, and 100% that is a great program.
Yes, that's the same program that this one is under.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So we're looking to, so
And then
it'll
I
be,
thought we were buying it for 150,000, not 175.
No, it's always-
no, 175 is what we offered.
What did it
The
appraise for?
appraisal,
250.
the appraisal was 250.
Okay. So before somebody changes their mind, let's close on it, but so that
That's
at
what
least
we
we're
want.
buying it for under appraised value. So at least I can go around and say we saved some money for a real estate deal once.
That's it. That's
I love
exactly
that
what
idea.
we're ready to do. So it's on the city commission agenda for Tuesday, the 24th, and then we'll come to the CRA on the 7th.
Okay.
Any other comments on that item?
Is Granger alive?
Oh, I'm here.
Proof of life.
All right. All right. The last item is Boys and Girls Club at our March CRA board meeting. As you're all aware, the board approved us moving forward with sending an agreement for a facade grant for the construction of the Boys and Girls Club building in the amount of $400,000 to the city commission and to the county commission for their consideration. And then we'll come back to the CRA also on April 7th for final approval. So it is on the city commission agenda for March 24th. I have sent it over to the county for them to consider for their April 7th meeting in the morning, and then it would come to the CRA board that afternoon. Wanted to make sure you're all aware of that in case you get any calls from the county, in regards to the Boys and Girls Club MOU.
Um, and I'm sorry I'm doing all the talking today, but I've been involved, I've been in contact with a couple of the county guys, and that's not really in their wheelhouse, nor is it in ours. And my concern here is that we're involving the county because these are county tax dollars. And I think that we've got it backwards. It's coming to us. And again, I talked with Brandy about this earlier today. Our vote did not require a certain order in which they showed up at the meetings. So this isn't about staff. But I don't know that it's prudent for us to vote on something, and if it goes the same way it did last time, that's a 3-2 vote. So in the March meeting that we passed, I do want to put on the record that was a 3-2 vote, not a 5-0 vote. We now have the document that was not created at that time. It's at the county, but nowhere have I gotten from a county as an answer that they have opened up to that they want to give money to 5013Cs. Would it be a better idea to not have it on our agenda for Tuesday? Let's let the county, if let's let the county decide, is that something, it's a good idea or bad idea? And if it is, great, we vote on it. If it's not, great too. But I don't want us to put it in the county's laps that we've voted yes and if they voted no, we kind of make them look like the bad guys, and that's not really fair. I'd like some thought from the electeds on that. What y'all think?
Well, I understand that perspective. The only reason why I go to the county is because we didn't have a program adopted. And we've had ample time, in my opinion, to adopt a program. But staff went one direction with the contract for services, which to me opened the door for everyone and their brother to ask for money.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
already got 4 lined up.
Yeah. And I don't want to open that door. And so, I hate that the county didn't like that, or might have that controversy thrown in their lap. But here we are. So
Okay, but are we going to the county because it's a program, or are we going to the county because these are tax dollars that we're getting that the county participates in this?
Mhm.
And is that what's the main reason? Because I was under the impression it was about the money, not the program.
now,
Yeah.
Brandy never can answer that.
Yeah, the reason we're going to the county is that it wasn't specifically in our budget, and it's a one-time thing, and it is now for construction of the building. And the reason that that works is because the building will provide the programming that fits the CRA plan. And so that's that's why it goes to the county. Because it's kind of a one-time thing, it wasn't in the plan. They're out of abundance of a caution. We were advised and we agree it is helpful to have the county agree with that expenditure. And that's why it's going to the county because it's one, it wasn't in the plan. Two, it's a grant that we hadn't really done before like this. And it's really not whether or not it's a not-for-profit, but it's contributing to construct a building, to help someone else construct a building, to provide a service that fits our plan. And if the county says, yeah, we agree, then there's no legal issue ever involved.
All right. And maybe this is where Alan's loan ideas come to play. I had no problem loaning them $400,000 at 2% interest, but at least we're accommodating that need, because to me this is about the building, it's not about programming, and I don't think CRA is in there. So I'm going to talk about that some more, but I just want to make sure that we keep our relationship good with them over there, but while we're trying to create something. My concern is if you got to tell me, you got to write me a letter on why it's okay to vote this way, that's hard for me to get to yes. You know what I mean? If I got to create something and get an approval because it's hard for me to get to yes. And does that make sense?
Uh, Certainly, I mean, if in the same vein, I'm not trying to slow down government and stand up a program for one person that costs money too. And so
Yeah.
there's a counter argument to, being reckless. I don't think we're being reckless. I don't think we're being controversial at all. I think this is just something we haven't done before. It's not like it hasn't been done, and it hasn't been adopted into our plans. And so it's just they have to approve it simply because it's not like it's a new idea, never been done, never, and it's controversial or unethical. It's ethical. It's been done before. It just hasn't been done by us and adopted by us.
I'm not calling into question its ethics.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I think more of a policy. We don't, they don't, and now we are asking both too. I guess that's really where I'm coming from. Nothing ethics at all. No, sir.
Well, I hope what they hear is, it sounds like the vote, it might have been 3-2 at the moment, but it possibly have been 4-1 if all the plans have been adopted. And we were like, if the paperwork, I mean, I think that's really the conversation is it sounds potentially like your vote might have been yes if we already had a program stood up for it. And so less controversial, more just situational, not super happy with it. And I'm not, I don't like the idea either of not having a program, but I also don't like the idea of spending 3 or 4 months standing a program up and doing all the things to stand one up just to do the same thing that we're at right now. So, you know, um,
And I hear you. And
Mhm.
I don't want to slow this down, Alan. And
Yeah,
I've said on record,
no, you're
if
not a
I'm going
slow
to
it down
take
guy.
400 grand, I'd rather put it in that building than on the street at Third Street. Okay.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I don't know. I just want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. This
Mhm.
is not about against the Boys and Girls Club. It's not about whatever the next group is. My vote, by the way, for no was because I was not going to vote to spend 400 grand on a document that had not been created yet. That
sure,
we now have it created. I still don't know what it says, but I know that we've got one. So I'll be
yeah,
reading it tonight.
totally.
But
Well,
yeah, that's what
I
was my
think
no
that's
vote on.
if
But
you
I
have
hear you, man. I really do. I want to
Yeah,
make it
so
work if it
for
can.
you and for me, we have different thresholds to that situation of not like we need. I don't think anyone liked the idea. I don't think anyone likes the idea of having to ask the county for permission on something that we could do on our own. We could do on
Yeah,
our own if we had just known in advance we needed to do this, right?
right.
And I hope they hear that of this is not them deciding they're just approving something because it has to be approved, not because it's controversial or it's this is a thing that's common and ordinary. It's just we didn't have the all the policy in place to handle it.
Okay.
And so yeah, I hope they hear that. For me, I think the services is a nice way to fund things, but that just opens the door to everyone being mad at us about everything. And what I've told people is like, hey, if you're willing to do a project that is in the millions of dollars, I'm happy to look at how we help fund buildings in the CRA. What I can't do is fund everyone's after school drawing program and art program and kickball club and Latin Honor Society and everything that
Mhm.
their brother will be asked for.
Mhm.
So we can't afford that, but we need buildings. So yeah, those are all my thoughts. Maybe Brian has something.
Okay.
We'll see. Brian? No?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. What I would say is that if for some reason the county decides to vote against, then I would want to us to explore the option of a loan. I brought that up in the meeting. Um, I think it's a great idea because it's not the tax dollars that the businesses and citizens for this area have paid going into something that's gone. I mean, obviously in this case, it's going into a building, and we reap the benefit of the building being up and running. But if that can't happen, then I support a loan, like a very, very low interest loan. If any interest, if we can get away without charging any interest, I think that would probably be the best. But yeah. And that goes back to the previous conversation of looking at just different ways to cut this pie, you know, solve the problem. That's all I have.
Thank you. That's all staff has for updates for today. Chairman, you have anything more you'd like to discuss for CRA?
You're on
You're on
mute.
mute.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't have anything. I think we discussed a lot today.
Rookie move.
I know. My first time on Zoom. No, I
All
had a
right.
good meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you all. We will share the fact sheet and the survey link with you guys, get a flyer going, print some out and have them we'll let you know when we have them ready for y'all to pick up. So thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you, Grandpa.
Somebody needs to take Alan's
Congratulations.
admin rights away.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.